Last week on Gleeboot, Tina hit her head and was forced to learn her place. We went gross, and Puck sang Taylor Swift, and we were like, did we like this? And that's what you missed on Gleeboot.
Gleeboot.
That was a good way to put that Puck number. Did we like this?
Did we like this?
Welcome back to Gleeboot, the show where we get drunk and talk about rebooting Glee one episode at a time. I'm Cullen.
Alyssa.
I'm Hannah. And we have one of my best friends on the podcast tonight, Christine.
What's up?
Yay. Well, I mean, tonight is kind of relative.
True. That's true. It's even more relative than it usually is. So normally we record on Sunday nights. It's like, I don't know. It's normally just like 7:30 for me, usually the other guest. And then it's like 5:30 for you guys. You're like in the evening. But we have the night, a late night, and then very early morning on the podcast today.
Yes. 8, 12, and 4 a.m.
11 p.m. But yes.
8, 11 p.m. and 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And that's 8 p.m. Yeah. Which is crazy. How can you get up that early?
So I work nights, so I'm naturally kind of awake right now. I usually go to bed at like 6 or 7 in the morning.
Perfect.
Wow.
It works out.
Wow. Kudos. My mom wakes up usually at 4:30 in the morning, so it's not that far of a stretch if you were actually like waking up in the morning at that time. Just personal experience. My mother is too early to be an early bird. I think she might be like half vampire.
Okay, wait. What time does she go to bed then?
Early.
Okay, thank God. She's like, oh, she goes to bed at like midnight. I'd be like, what? How does she function?
No, she goes to bed usually around 9.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we drinking today?
I have this very weird thing that I picked up at the liquor store on my way back from I went to pick up some food. It's called Berry Jammer. It's from 6 Point Brewery out of Brooklyn, New York. It's okay. It grew on me. It says a ghost style ale with sea salt, real fruit juice, and natural flavors. Natural flavors, very ominous. I think it's like raspberry, strawberry, and something else.
What style ale did you say?
Gose? Gose?
Oh, I definitely thought you said goat, and I was like,
It's a goat style, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what ghost is, but
either.
It's better than goat, probably.
Greatest of all time style. That kind of goat. That would be okay.
Okay.
That's what I'm drinking.
I am drinking I don't know what it's called. It's like a lemon drop martini, but it has citrus in it also. So I've gone from beer to mixed drinks again, and boy, this thing is yummy. It's got 1.5 ounces of vodka, a half an ounce of triple sec or any orange liquor, and a half an ounce of lemon juice and a 1/4 ounce of simple syrup, like actual simple syrup, because I bought some.
Thank God it's not maple syrup. Oh my gosh.
You should have seen her face. I was like, oh, is it maple syrup? And she was like, I bought some. And she was so proud.
I am proud of you. I'm also happy for your palate, because I can't imagine maple with all the lemon stuff would taste very good.
I've already done that though. That's in a whiskey sour. Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah, it's good though. But here's the thing, like, I'm happy that you're happy for my palate.
Yes.
I'm more happy for my wallet, because I'm no longer using $20 syrup.
What? You were using
Right.
$20 maple syrup in your, because that's all you had. 'cause you
Yeah,
like the good
exactly.
stuff. Okay, I guess that makes sense, but yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
Also, I
so-
almost had a mango cart tonight, but the bar was out.
Oh man.
Yeah. So I
Unfortunate.
almost got it so I could try it. Okay. Come on.
I am drinking one of the housewarming gifts, the Kostriger Pale Ale.
Nice.
It's good.
Nice. Christine, what are you drinking early this morning?
Nothing.
She's drinking the magic of Glee.
The Glee Kool-Aid.
Yeah. So, Christine, what is your journey with the show Glee?
Well, I used to watch it back like college for a little bit. And I hadn't watched it until Hannah asked me to do this, so I watched the episode earlier today.
Nice.
And,
Did
then
you-
it started kind of coming back what was going on.
It's all
Kinda
coming
started to
back.
remember.
It's all
Yeah, I
coming
kind of
back
started
to
to
you
I kind
now.
of started to remember where everyone was at in life.
Did you go through the whole season like in college, or the whole series in college?
I
Did
wanna
you make
say
it
I
to the
started
end?
yeah, I think I watched all of it. in
Wow,
col-
that's crazy. And you had never
looked-
watched it in high school?
No.
How did you hear about it? Because it wasn't me.
Oh, maybe it was just one of those like I was bored and I scrolled through Netflix and I saw it.
Yeah, probably.
I
Yeah.
stopped. I ran out of Gilmore Girls, so I had to watch something new.
Probably very different from Gilmore Girls. I've never seen Gilmore Girls. I'm just gonna say it. It's probably a very different show.
Yeah.
It is.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very accurate.
Both dramedies.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Gilmore Girls has a lot of dialogue. Like a lot.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Glee is a lot of singing.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's a lot of just things happening and like 3 songs.
Yeah. But there's
Inconsistent.
a lot of singing this episode.
Yeah.
Um,
Nationals.
Nationals. Oh, Christine, did you get a chance to take the BuzzFeed quizzes?
Oh, that's right.
It's
I know
okay
I've
if you
taken-
didn't.
I've taken one of them. I don't think I took the most recent one that I'd gotten an email for. I
Oh,
want to say I've
that's okay.
taken maybe one.
That's okay. Well, I'll have you take it to figure out who you are and who you're dating later.
Gosh, okay.
Okay, if you could pick a character in Glee, unfortunately, who would you pick? Who would you say that you're most like? It's hard because they're all such bad people.
I don't know which one I most like. I know. I have no idea.
See,
I'll
like,
have to think about it.
I feel like that's an interesting question. Are we comparing our adult selves to these supposed teenage
That's also a good question.
creatures? Or are we comparing our younger
Creatures.
selves when we were in high school to these quote unquote
Uh,
teens? Because I think my person would change.
yeah. I don't even know. That was a hard question, but
Yeah.
all right.
Nationals.
Are we going
Chronological, because it's really
Oh,
one
here we go.
storyline.
Oh,
That's good. It should be
Okay.
relatively straightforward though.
Yeah, most of it's singing. I'm just gonna spoil it. This is actually one of my favorite episodes of this series.
I'm gonna second that, but
Yeah, I mean,
it's not
there
bad.
there were actually some like good moments that I was like, that actually like I was touched by.
Yeah.
Which is weird for Glee. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a fine episode.
This should have been where Glee, the entire series of Glee ended.
You know what? That's not a bad idea. Like, because what next week is going to be, they're graduating. So yeah, I feel like if the show just kind of ended here, it would logically make sense.
It does.
This is actually the last episode I've watched. Like, I watched the next week's episode now, but this was like the last episode I watched when I watched Glee in college, because I was like, I knew it got bad, so I was like, it ends here. This is how Glee ended. This is the end.
Right.
Because Will's arc is satisfied, Rachel and Finn's arc is satisfied. All the characters have a nice arc based on like where they started from the pilot. It's like a good way to like end the series. This whole time I've known that Glee has gone on, and I've been like, well, what happened after Nationals?
Oh gosh, I remember a few things, and that they are troublesome, but also some of them are really entertaining.
When I watched this episode, all I could think of was like, okay, that was a good ending. We're done. That's it.
Right? Right? Are we we're done?
Why did they have to go further?
Because Fox gave them 6 seasons. They were like given 3 more seasons while this was airing, I'm pretty sure.
So this was supposed to be the end.
I don't think so.
I think they wrote it thinking we're going to get more. Like, they left some things enough open-ended where they could continue, and unfortunately they do. But I think it could have also served as probably a fine enough ending.
So, like, they wrote it with the intention of, if we're canceled, this will be a good ending. But if we're not, yay.
But there was like no question of Glee getting canceled.
Yeah, because I think
So
at this
popular.
point, yeah.
Why did I don't
I
know.
know.
I remember
Money.
It was such a good ending though. Like, and you know how when you're watching a movie and you're like ready for it to end, and then you get the ending scene, and then it goes on for 24 minutes.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like
Yeah.
happened with Glee, except it's
The
not
longest
24 minutes.
denouement. Yeah. Yeah.
Got 3 extra seasons, folks.
All right. Let's crack
Yeah.
into it.
So, Mercedes is sick. They're in Chicago. She got a burrito from a weird burrito stand. Everyone else went to Chipotle, free ad.
Yeah.
And Mercedes is sick. So Sue is going to flush her system with Pedialyte and put her in an ice bath. And they're
Did
going
you
to
say knife bath?
ice bath.
Yeah. They're going to put her in a bathtub full of knives.
You
Kind of
know?
like instead of leeches, like back in the day,
Well,
they're going to let her
used
bleed
to-
out with knives.
It's like bloodletting, you know, that was
Yeah.
considered a medical.
Would not
solution?
surprise me if Sue pitched it, honestly.
I'm surprised she hasn't yet.
I think, like, wasn't this when Sue was like, we have to do this because, you know, I want them to win for them, not even just for me. And it kind of comes out of nowhere that she, like, all of a sudden really, really cares about the kids.
Yeah, suddenly.
It's that baby inside her. It's making her care.
And
Hormones.
Hormones,
Mhm.
yeah. Will is like, well, Quinn, you're gonna go in the Trouble Tones number, because we have this whole other set of girls that are part of this club for this performance, but don't
But
get
are never
Sure.
around.
yeah.
They show up for the number because they're grown adult women who can just gallivant around Chicago if they want to.
Yeah, they're never there. And then Tina's like, Quinn, you'll do great. And he's like, oh, Tina, yeah, you should be in this too.
Yeah, you complained all last week. So you know what? I'm going to put you in here too.
I forgot we were in Chicago.
I did too. I was like, oh yeah, they're back in New York. And then why did they get burritos? Why didn't they get deep dish pizza? That can also make you sick and it would make more sense.
That's such a petty. Why did they get deep dish pizza?
Just because I literally thought, I was like, oh, they're in New York again. And like have something that is clearly known for Chicago so that people remember. Because I don't even remember them ever saying.
I wish we got to see them. Maybe if we had like a shot of them with
Rolling
the
into
bean.
Chicago. Yeah, something.
Because everybody knows the bean is in Chicago, which is actually technically a cloud if you read the artist statement. But
yeah.
Well, I think they didn't actually go to Chicago to film anything.
No.
True.
Yeah.
Come on. Like,
did they go to New York or did they not?
They went to New York, yeah.
Yeah.
Chicago's just not that cool, apparently.
There are no songs about, I mean, there's a whole musical about Chicago.
I was gonna say.
There's no songs about Chicago. There's a band called Chicago. I'm sure they've written songs about Chicago. I don't know.
Yeah. But they're in Chicago, and Mercedes is sick, and so they're gonna put Quinn and Tina in, and then Emma sees Will just sulking in the hallway, and he's like, I really want these kids to win. These kids never get to win, and like I want them to walk around their last few weeks of high school with their heads held high.
Like, okay. One, don't tell me they never get to win, because you only make it to nationals if you've won a bunch of things. So like, just because they don't like win the big thing doesn't mean they're not winners. Like, they're still like in the top 20 in the nation. Whatever.
Yeah.
I digress.
And half of them are on prom court every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to mention, like, they've won a ton of things, but it's kind of insulting to the rest of the people like actually watching the show where you don't win a bunch of shit and you're a normal person.
Yeah, you don't even get past like regionals or whatever, it's sectionals the first one. Like,
do you think that's why they had this line? Because like for some reason they thought the audience was going to like place themselves in these characters' positions?
I mean, that's a lot of what Glee is based on, is living vicariously through the characters.
Yeah,
right. So but this line obviously doesn't really make sense in the context. Do you think that's why they wrote it?
To remind reader or listeners to be like, or viewers,
I
have
they're all
no idea who I'm talking about. The audience. To remind the audience that, like, yeah, you guys are in these characters. Are you saying like that?
Yes.
That,
you're all losers, and so are they. But
yeah.
You're gonna win.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if they can win, so can you, audience. Yeah, that makes sense. So all I have written next is Unique is being given the key to the city? Question mark.
Oh yeah, Unique is being, it's like a minor thing that they just throw out.
Yeah, like Kurt's just like, I think this is when all the kids are like fighting in rehearsal.
Yeah. Beast comes to get them and it's like, there's trouble at rehearsal. And then Sam and Puck are almost at blows because Sam's like, Puck is studying geography. Well, we're supposed to be learning choreography. And then Brittany, who's still in her cheerleader uniform, is like, and worst of all, my pillow and my blanket have fallen into the pool.
That okay, Puck studying his geography test is literally the make or break of graduating.
Yeah.
This is a competition.
I'm on yes side.
Very important. However, like, he is one person. He, I don't know. Do they really even need him at this point? If he's not ready to go on, tell him to sit on the sidelines, be a water boy. There you go.
I mean, to be honest, he's way better at singing and dancing than he is at geography. So
yeah,
He could probably just bullshit on the stage and it would be fine. But
Exactly.
He really needs to study, so
Yeah.
lay off.
Exactly.
So yeah, everyone's angry. Santana is like, I don't want to hear any of this. We can't do it without Mercedes crap. Like, we're gonna do this. I want you all to focus, because Artie's just like eating popcorn. And Will is like, stop, look at you guys. And she's like, I know, I go to the yelling place. I have rage.
I wrote that down. I was like, I want this on a t-shirt.
And he's like, look at you, you're a team. You're not fighting about drama, you're fighting about the competition.
Which is stupid. Like, that's not really what teams are supposed to do. So that doesn't make any sense.
I don't understand this scene, why they're fighting. Like, what are they really angry about? Like,
I think they're all just supposed to be like super nervous.
Yeah.
I guess.
High intensity nerves and shit.
Yeah, because he's like, let's all take a break. And they're all like, Mr. Shu, could we not take a break? Could we just keep going?
And he's like, I guess. Because he has no actual like say in what happens.
And so they keep going. Quinn is struggling because she was in a wheelchair a few weeks ago.
That's bananas. I'm not even gonna go into that, but sure.
And meanwhile, or afterwards, right before nationals, we see Jesse St. James, the ever-erotic Groff sauce.
Yeah. He's so erotic. I can't. He's so good looking. It's upsetting.
And he's standing outside and he's talking to Rachel and he's like, hope you don't choke like you did in your Nayada audition. And she's like, you're trying to get into my head, but it's not gonna happen. I know you get, when you're nervous, you get mean. Like we dated, even though I'm not sure how much of it was real.
Which was actually like, I was like, what? And then I was like, oh yeah, like he kind of maybe did it to infiltrate the group, and then he also kind of maybe did it because he actually liked her. And it was very weird. And I was like, oh, that's really sad. Like Rachel's, I guess, first real boyfriend, right? Because she dated Finn after him.
No, she dated Finn at the end of sectionals. So
Okay, right. So
well, she's only really had 2 serious boyfriends.
Yeah, and one of them
now she's getting married.
Oh God, Rachel! Oh no.
I mean, people get married really quickly, like, you know.
Yeah, but she's Rachel, and she's getting married to Finn, and
she's also in high school.
Yeah, and Finchel is toxic.
There's so many people from where I grew up that like to brag about how they married the first person they dated.
Okay.
Which can work for some people.
Yeah.
Mainly Disney characters.
A lot of other people, it doesn't.
Well, I mean, did they like date and then go date other people and then come back and we're like, yes, you are the person?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But then he's like, well, Unique is amazing. It was my idea. And she's like, well, actually, it was Kurt and Mercedes' idea. And he's like, yeah, but I implemented it. And it's like, bullshit.
We know the truth.
Anyone who was there and saw you stand on the stage and say, get off the stage.
Yeah, that he literally came out. You could see him, then he had to like step back. So like it maketh no sense.
But Rachel's just like, it takes the high ground for once. Yeah, she's just kind of like, yeah, we're not gonna fight, like, good for you, good luck. And then Finn comes to get her, and then him and Jesse have a standoff, and then Jesse's like, congratulations, and Finn's like, thank you.
Yeah, it was really weird. Like I literally wrote like, wow, Jesse kind of matured. Cause he literally was like, I heard you guys are getting married. I'm happy for you. Handshake. And I was like, last time you guys saw each other, you guys fought at a high school prom.
Very true.
And I was like, that's growth.
I mean, he is like an adult person now with a real job, and he probably didn't have to pay bills before. Now he has to pay bills. Like, his life is in perspective.
Yeah. So then they're backstage, and Finn comes with a Chicago glass. And he's like, I got this for when they break the glasses at our wedding. And Rachel is like, yeah, it's supposed to represent the fragility of life or the destruction of the temple or something.
Okay, the fact that she doesn't know what it symbolizes is really weird because I feel like she holds her being Jewish to heart, or maybe it's just because Barbara is also Jewish. So maybe actually that's what it is. Because now that I've said it out loud, I was like, actually, no, that's might be what it is.
I mean, she sang that Yentl song about God.
But because Barbara sang it first. But this made me think, actually, I'm actually really glad Christine was on this episode because it made me think of how Christine collects the, what are they?
Oh, the Hard Rock Cafe cups?
Yeah. And I collect like the Starbucks mugs from different locations. But like the fact that he was gonna destroy this souvenir, it was just like, you're gonna get the souvenir, you want a piece, but then it's just gonna be broken glass you're gonna discard. And then also I'm like, that's some thick glass. Like, I don't think you can break that with your foot. Like, there's no way.
I mean, you could like smash it as hard as you can. It would be kind of fun to try.
Well, because they wrap it and then they put it on the ground. You have to stomp it, and I'm like, that looks thick. I literally wrote like thick with 2 C's.
Finn is a big boy.
That's true.
Yeah.
But is he the one who's supposed to stomp it, or is it the rabbi?
I think it's the groom.
Yeah.
Okay, I have no idea.
Well, I hope that rabbi is also as big as him if it's supposed to be the rabbi.
And he's like, Chicago's gonna be the city where everything changes. We're gonna win nationals. Carmen Thibodeau's gonna be here, played by Whoopi Goldberg. You're gonna get into NYADA. We're gonna be national champs, and we're gonna get married and live happily ever after. And it's all because of this city.
So I have written down, I think it happens in this conversation, $500 for a honeymoon ? Oh my God, Niagara Falls. Okay, so let's talk about this because I have something interesting to add to that. But how did this come up in the conversation?
So
it was because
Finn made a bet.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
He's like, I don't remember how it comes up, but he ends up telling Rachel that he made a bet on whether or not they would win nationals. Yeah. And
with Rick the Stick
Nelson.
Who, like, how does this kid have $500? I mean,
I know.
He
was like, you
like
trust
rich parents or something.
You trust him to pay that.
Right, exactly. Like, no, he's gonna whoop your ass and then take your $500, or he's going to pay you that $500 in Canadian pennies.
Yeah, so, and she's like, that was our honeymoon money, and he's like, hey, I'll double it, and then we'll have even more to spend at Niagara Falls.
I lost my mind because, like, Niagara Falls, I was like, that's where my parents went, who ended up getting divorced. So
Same. That's the city of divorce for honeymoon.
Is that where your parents went too? Oh no. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Megan.
I need to see data on this. Is there a trend? But here's
Niagara
the
Falls
thing.
is the city of breakups.
it's
Divorce.
it's a really like pretty area. Like, well, I've been to the American side and I've seen pictures of the Canadian side. The Canadian side looks really pretty. The American side is very meh. But it's not like romantic. I don't know.
I
but
guess
what this
Well, I
Go
mean,
ahead.
like a honeymoon doesn't. It's supposed to be romantic, but I don't think the place
it's
matters.
the people who make it romantic. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's as long as you both want to be there.
It's the
Rachel would
friends you
hate
make along the
Niagara
way.
Falls. Rachel would hate Niagara Falls.
Honestly, yeah.
Because the humidity from the being by the falls would ruin her hair, especially in the summer. No, she would hate it there.
My parents went to French Canada for their honeymoon,
Oh,
which I always think is like smart because like Europe on the cheap.
Yeah.
Don't tell that to the.
so
Canadians.
wait, what exactly is it? Just Montreal?
And Quebec.
Quebec.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, interesting. I've never been to Canada. I've never been outside the U.S.
Hannah.
I know.
You still have time. Why is that? You can go.
I
You can
have
go
my
to Canada.
passport.
Have you been to Epcot? That's kind of like being around the world.
Oh my
You're right, but
gosh.
no, I haven't.
You live in
See,
Florida.
Well, now they don't have the year passes. They're not giving new ones because not only was it, for money before, it's definitely not going to be good for money now that there's a pandemic that we're slowly coming out of. But if I had gotten it when I first moved down here, I would have been grandfathered in and I would have been able to keep it. But I didn't do that, so I don't have one and I can't go to Epcot. Yeah. I went to the zoo and I was in Africa and Asia and Florida. They have literally one that's like, you can go to Florida. I was like, it's right there. It's everywhere.
Great. Don't worry about it. You have time to travel the world.
Yeah, I've got like another 7 years on my passport, so I have to renew it. So
There you go.
For a second, I was like,
Fine.
Hannah, like you'll be young for a lot longer than that. You can even travel when you're old. And then I was like, oh, the passport.
I only have wait, when's 35? 9 good years left.
When you're 35, you're ancient.
Well, I mean, that's what society says. 35, everything just stops working, right? From what I understand. I can't do anything.
Oh, like if you're a female actress, you have to be on a Hallmark channel now.
Yep. And, I'm probably not going to be able to have a baby. It's going to be super difficult. So, that makes me worthless. So, I've got 9 years left.
As a man, I'm not peak value till I'm in my 40s or 50s.
So you've got plenty of time to travel. That's what this conversation ended up being about. All right, let's move on.
And that's its own American gender nightmare. Yeah. Speaking of gender nightmares, we're watching Glee. So Rachel's like, that's our honeymoon money, and he's like, we're gonna win. And then Will gathers them around for a pep talk without the Trouble Tones women. They're not nowhere to be seen.
Shu like steps up all confident. He's like, all right, guys, let's go. And then they're about to do show circle, and Finn goes, he's literally like, wait, Mr. Shu, like, you're a great teacher and all, but I want to handle this. And she's like, okay, because again, he has no agency over these children.
And Finn is like, we all talked about last night, how we wanted to win this for you. Figgins gives out a Teacher of the Year award, but you're the teacher of a lifetime.
I laughed out loud.
I did too. That's the best joke in this whole series, I think.
Yeah.
Our Spanish
it's a
teacher
running
who can't
gag.
speak Spanish.
He's the history teacher now who probably doesn't know a lot about history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
At least you don't have to conjugate verbs.
It's true. Conjugation is hard. Like at first, like present and past tense, I understood. But once we got to future tense and after that, I was like, you're losing me. I can't do this.
I can't even really do present tense. So
It's okay.
yeah.
My sister was listening to the Spanish teacher episode and she was texting me and she's like, you know, it makes sense that he became history teacher. There's a stereotype that every school has like a white male social studies teacher who's like a little sexist and racist. And so I think that it's Will.
I get if that's true, that checks out. Now I'm gonna have to think about my high school.
Well, I definitely had one of
There was one in my middle school.
History teacher was pretty much exactly what your sister said.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, so Finn gives this speech and then Mercedes shows up like, you're not gonna go on without me. Sue got a witch doctor and healed me.
It's kind of close to bloodletting. We were kind of close.
I wonder if she called in one. This is actually what I thought. I thought she called in one of the witches from American Horror Story Coven.
I would love if
Bringing the
Glee
universes
season
together.
4 had just a storyline of them dealing with the consequences of a deal with the devil to make Mercedes feel better. And just like a full supernatural, like, so, oh my gosh, who do I like in Glee Club? Also, the devil's after us.
And then Sam and Dean from Supernatural show up, and it's another crossover. And they walk around. They have to do random musical numbers. They have to be a part of them, and they're like trying to find this demon, and it turns out it's just the poison that's just naturally within all of these characters that comes from Will Schuester. That's what it is. They're gonna have to exorcise Will Schuester.
Creature of the night.
Ah. Oh no.
Yeah. So Mercedes is back.
Is alive.
Yeah. So Will is nervous beforehand. He's like, Mercedes just got better. Quinn is still struggling with her dancing. And Carmen Thibodeau, played by Whoopi Goldberg, is nowhere to be found.
But why does he care about that?
Because he's a meddler.
because
the show needed someone to say everything that was at stake.
Ah, damn, Alyssa. That was spot on because he's a meddler. I was wondering there was going to be like is Rachel only going to perform well because she knows Carmen is there? I thought there was going to be some of that, but it wasn't really there. I thought that would have been really interesting. You know, like if she was like totally off her game because she was like, Carmen Thibodeau, what if she's not there? Blah, blah, blah. If that got really into her head and we saw how that affected her, that could have been some really interesting conflict for the show. But that's not what they did.
It was fine though. I still thought this episode had natural high stakes.
Yeah, which is not something that happens a lot in this show.
Yeah, that's true.
So then the judges are Lindsay Lohan.
I saw the names at like when the 10-minute intro credits were happening. I saw Perez Hilton's name. I was like, what? And then I saw Lindsay Lohan. I was like, I literally wrote, like, I was freaking out. It was like, I had no idea these people were ever in this show. I couldn't believe it.
So it was actually her. I wasn't sure if it was her or a lookalike.
I actually had to check because I was like, it looks a lot like her, but she has had a lot of transformations over the years.
Yeah.
And who am I to say that maybe that's not just a lookalike, or the woman who played her twin opposite her in Parent Trap? Who's to say? IMDb, that's who's to say. She was in the episode.
I recognized her voice more than anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I was like, I can't really, like, visually, it could be her, but then I listened to her voice and I was like, oh yeah, that's her.
Interesting.
We know it from all those Mean Girls narrations.
Yes.
I suppose.
Freaky
Yeah.
Friday.
So it's Perez Hilton, Lindsay Lohan, and Chicago councilman or something. Who's an actor that I recognize from a lot of things.
Yes, I thought I recognized him too, so I thought he was actually going to be playing something. His name is Martin Vaughn. I literally wrote, "Go Martin Vaughn, a blessing."
So then the New Directions come out and they perform. First, it's the Trouble Tones with Tina and Quinn added.
Yeah.
And they perform Edge of Glory by Lady Gaga.
Before they go on though, who's it? It's Quinn, Brittany, and Santana. They're like, okay, here we go, Unholy Trinity. And I was like, I'm pretty sure that was fan given and the show is taking advantage of that. That feels a little too meta to me.
I mean, Glee invented using ship names in the show itself. They
That's
love
true.
to do that.
Very true.
I know, like, I feel like the Unholy Trinity one was way too meta for me because we never really see the three of them together after Quinn's out of the Cheerios. Like, it's really not them as a unit.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make sense.
Well, I mean, like that particular little scene, like things like that they just sort of pepper throughout this episode. That's what makes it feels like an end episode, like a finale episode.
Yeah, like look at the end of the arc of these three cheerleaders together.
Yep.
They're friends.
If you took all of that stuff out, it would just kind of feel like a normal episode. Nationals, you know. But
so what you're saying is the closer they get to having it be these characters' last performance and their inevitable graduation, that the show comes to a natural end and that it should end.
Yes, that is what I'm saying. Thank you.
Damn, if only they had our logic.
Gleeboot will. I think we could. Let's talk about this at the end of the episode.
Okay.
Yeah. Just a little foretaste of what's to come. So they sing "Edge of Glory." I mean, it's a good cover. I mean, it's nothing. I don't know. It's nothing special to me, but it's like
I was actually
the choreo was very reminiscent of the Warblers. It was just a lot of walking around.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
I was like, Blaine definitely had his hand in this choreo.
I was actually kind of confused because I was like, the theme was vintage, and I was like, this ain't a vintage song.
Yeah, so actually that was something that Jesse and Rachel talked about early on. Was like,
it was like 33% vintage or something.
Yeah, and Jesse's like, what is that supposed to mean? And I was like, fair.
I was like, thank you. Also, the show is, I bet you that writer who came up with it like being vintage like a couple episodes ago, there was like now having a clash with this writer who was writing this episode being like, vintage, what the fuck is that? Like, so that's what I think that was. Let's talk about dresses. What do we think about these outfits?
I liked their outfits. They were red. That's one of my favorite colors.
Makes sense. They were
bright. I like the chiffon.
Yes, I thought this was a much better fabric.
Yeah.
Much more flowy, better for dancing.
Mm-hmm.
No bumpets though. I didn't see any bumpets in their hair. I was a little disappointed.
Yeah, they seemed, how do I put this? Generic.
Well, I mean, they were made by 4 teenagers.
True.
Good job, Tina.
That is true.
in a sweatshop
they made
set up in the choir room.
That makes more sense now. I feel better about the costumes now.
Yeah.
Good job, Tina.
Yeah.
Who got a solo at Nationals in a way.
Yeah.
She had a few lines of Edge of Glory.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she kind of shared what's the word I'm looking for?
Like a verse.
Yeah, a verse. She shared a verse with Quinn. which is cool. I don't think they've ever sang together like that, have they?
Yeah, I remember sending you a meme once that was like, I wish Glee focused more on the Quintina friendship. And you were like,
oh, yeah. I was like, what? The what? Quintina? Never heard of her.
Yeah, never interact.
This is the only scene in which it exists. Like,
I broke Hannah.
Well, I'm just picturing how does one make images? You would literally have to make manipulation images for that. You'd have to literally just like put them together because I don't think they're ever next to each other in scenes.
Manipulation images. What is that, Hannah?
It's called a manip. I don't know how people pronounce it.
Yeah.
But it's when you take an image of one person, image of a different person, you mash them together and Photoshop because it's never really that great, and make it look like as if they're posing together. So like people who ship two celebrities who like aren't actually together, they're not seen very often, they'll make separate couple images of them.
That's weird.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
But that's what made me laugh because I was just thinking of like all these like weird, like if you Google them, like they're like you can tell they're very off. And so I was just picturing people being like, I love Quintina. It's all these like poorly photoshopped images of these two characters together.
Well, it's interesting because like I kind of do that as a job-ish. So like they'll shoot different plates and then I have to put them in the same scene together and make it look
concept,
real.
Yeah, same concept, poor execution.
Okay, cool. They don't even have to do it for 125
and a
frames.
creepy background, like creepy like perspective. Like
they're not even trying.
No. I'm saying like it's meant to be like so that people who want to see these characters or actors, sometimes like real people together, but sometimes they also do it to accompany fan fiction, which I think is fine. But to be like, oh my God, I ship these two actors and then you're taking like photos of them and making them look like they're a couple, not cool. Don't like that.
Yeah.
I think I broke Allyssa.
Those are real people. Don't mess with their lives.
If you're doing it for a fan fiction,
gross.
Fine.
I support fan fiction.
We all support fan fiction on this podcast. I support
some fan fiction. Not all of it.
Valid.
Yeah. We have limitations.
So then Rachel is nervous because Carmen Thibodeau isn't there, and Finn is like, go out there, you're gonna be amazing. You've worked 3 years for this. Go out there, like it doesn't matter if she's there, just go out and perform.
So Rachel seems to have reserved a seat for Carmen, and that seat is empty.
Yeah.
And I didn't even notice like this part until later on. And I actually thought that was very interesting, but we'll talk about in a little bit.
So Rachel goes out and she sings Celine Dion's It's All Coming Back to Me Now.
That's what that was.
I loved it. I love this cover. I love this song. I love the Jeremy Jordan cover of this song.
Oh, I haven't heard that. That would probably change my life. I don't really know the song, so I didn't really have an opinion on it. It's just like,
I've never heard the song before, but I thought Rachel sang it really well.
Yeah.
She had a good performance.
I'm assuming it's vintage.
It's Celine Dion, so it's vintage-ish.
Yeah, I was like, where exactly is the line for vintage?
This was what, 2012. So if it was, I mean, yeah, what is vintage? Like anything before, anything from the 90s
before
and early.
95. I'm vintage.
Oh my God. That means I'm more vintage. And Alyssa is even more vintage.
Wow. Are you calling me old?
No,
we're calling you vintage.
I don't know.
You're just older than us. Christine's more vintage than me and Cullen. I think she's like right in between you, Alyssa, and me, actually.
When is your birthday?
July 2nd. Oh, I'm 27.
Me too. I'm oldest.
Yep. So yeah, I was right. Like right there.
Mm-hmm. I'm eating ice. That's why.
Okay. I was like, you're like making. I was like, did you bite your tongue or something?
No.
So during the performance, Carmen Thibodeau, played by Whoopi Goldberg, arrives and sits down, and so Rachel's excited, and that adds some extra oomph to her performance.
Wait a second. Rachel notices that she's there?
Yeah, and then Rachel smiles.
Yeah, she does notice.
I missed that. So
Yeah, I
wait,
didn't
she
see that
sings.
one.
Sweet, she sings the song, and then she notices Carmen Thibodeau sit down.
She sings the first part, and then Carmen Thibodeau sits down, and then she like sees her.
Yeah, like halfway through the song, she sees her.
She sits in the same seat that was reserved for her. See, I missed that, and so here's what I thought happened. I thought that Carmen Thibodeau had been there the whole time, but decided to sit in a different seat other than what was reserved for her, so she could see if Rachel was going to be good on her own or good just because Carmen Thibodeau was there. So I thought that she didn't sit in that seat. I thought she sat somewhere else, and I was like, oh, that's some interesting, like, motivation. So
you just invented all by yourself.
well, because I missed that very important. That's crazy.
Like the reaction shot of Rachel.
Yeah, I also missed like her, Whoopi Goldberg, even coming in and sitting down.
Oh yeah, there's a shot of that too.
I only saw her like stand up, so I must have like looked away. I must have been doing notes. That's crazy. Well, now my perspective of that part of the storyline went down a lot.
And then, so after it's all coming back to me now, they all come together and they sing Paradise by the Dashboard Lights.
Boo.
What?
You don't like it?
No, did not like this for children.
Okay, so the context.
I also did not like the cover. I did not like the cover. Although I have been singing the song in my head since I watched it.
Yes. See, so the context.
Because the song is catchy. I have to keep specifying. Go ahead.
So the context of the song, yeah, is weird, especially when you have two teenagers that are about to get married, and the song is like, "I'm miserable being married to my high school sweetheart." So yeah, it's not a great pick for children, but I'm past that point with Glee because Glee has already done a ton of terrible picks for children.
It's not even just that. It's also like they're literally about to have sex. Like in the story of this song, they're literally about to have sex, and she's like, "We're not going to do this unless you promise me." And then he's like, "Let me think about it in the morning." And then he's like, "Yes, okay," so that they can have sex.
Yeah.
So like, it's all around bad.
But the cover is so good. I think it uses everyone in like the Glee, like the New Directions. Like it uses everyone really well. Everyone is on their A game. I think it's one of their best performances as a club.
I agree with that. I like the song. I like the performance.
Did you recognize the song as a song?
I've never heard it before this.
Okay, that's what I meant. Interesting. I didn't like it that much. Although it was very high energy, it was fun. I just could not get over that these are children. But like, I'm thinking,
I didn't even really register the lyrics and like what they were talking about because you just explained the story to me and I did not get any of that from the song.
And that's because I've heard it so many times that like I know what's happening. I'm picturing the adults in the audience being like, oh, Paradise. And then they're starting to remember like, oh, wait, this song is about, and then they're like, oh my, these are children.
Christine, what did you think?
If I had to pick which performance I liked, I thought the vocal adrenaline ones were better than the New Directions.
Ooh,
I didn't really like
hot take.
I didn't really like the New Directions song choices per
I
se.
agree.
Yeah, the first two songs. Okay, so the first song was like, okay, it
It's
didn't
not Lady
deserve
Gaga's
to be
best.
there. Yeah. The second song I think really was like one of Rachel's best performances of this series, I want to say. And third song, I really like them as a group. But I don't actually think that this whole performance overall, this Nationals performance, really stands up to some of the other performances they've done as a whole.
I think the Paradise by the Dashboard Lights shows the club coming together and working together in a way that they haven't before. And part of that is because Will is the one who was structuring the numbers and only giving like one person a solo. That like everyone got a solo, everyone got a moment. Not everyone, but like a lot of people. And there was like a lot of variation in the choreography. It was very high energy. I thought this was one of Finn's best vocal performances.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, no, I will have to say that. Yeah, no, Finn sounded really, really good.
And it's been such a long time since we had like a song where we showed off, or they showed off Finn's voice in the way that it was really meant to be heard. Because the last time we heard him, he was singing a falsetto and it was terrible.
What was the last time we heard him sing?
Is that Saturday Night Gleever?
Yeah. Oh God.
It's been a while since we've heard Finn sing.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because he's supposed to be our male lead.
Mm-hmm. But and then when he was singing this song, I remembered why he's the male lead. Like, because he's good and
he's meant for that era of music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I really like this. And I do think Vocal Adrenaline's performances, and we'll talk about them, were really good. I just think New Directions utilized their team more.
Yes. They were more of what New Directions was supposed to be from the very beginning, instead of just the Rachel Berry show. And Vocal Adrenaline is almost always the star singers show. Yeah. So this is the second time I see Carmen Thibodeau stand up. Right?
Carmen Thibodeau, played by Whoopi Goldberg, stands up and
she whistles. So the first time she stands up, it seems kind of begrudgingly to like do the standing ovation for Rachel. Mm-hmm. But this time, like, she is up and she like whistles.
Yeah, she was into it.
Yeah.
I actually missed that. So I don't know what I was doing, but I
in the Gleeboot, in the Gleeboot, I would fight for that sequence to have been done the way that I constructed it in my head, because I missed that reaction shot and Carmen Thibodeau coming in. I think that would be really interesting. But anyway.
So then after their performance, Kurt and Mercedes go to Unique to give them a flower and to be like, you're gonna do a great job. And Unique is like, I'm so nervous. There's so much pressure on me from my teammates, from Jesse. Like, I don't know if Unique in the world, I don't know if Unique's gonna show up today. And they're like, you're gonna be great. He's like, we're supposed to be enemies. And Mercedes is like, that's not how we do things in New Directions. And he's like, I might have to transfer schools.
It's such a weird way to look at things. Do you guys have real enemies? Like, do you have a person where you're like, they're my enemy? Is that a real thing that people do?
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Of anyone in our trio here, I would expect one of me and Cullen to ask this question. You to be like, yeah, of course I have an enemy. Because you just seem like that, like you would be kind of like mischievous like that. You'd be like, yeah, I have an enemy. And you'd be like, it might be one of you. Like that's what I'm thinking.
I don't know. My set is more like there might be people who consider me an enemy, but none of them are, my enemy.
I had an enemy.
That's more ominous.
I know.
They may think we're enemies, but I don't.
They don't stand that high in my regard.
Yeah.
That sounds more like it.
I had an enemy in like high school, college.
And you like thought of them as your enemy. Like you labeled them an enemy?
They were really annoying.
But that's not even enemy material.
I'm still not sure if they were competitive with me and they hated me, but they gave me a vibe that they hated me. And so I was like, oh, this person hates me. They're the worst. And then they became student body president in college. And they were known for like homophobic statements.
Yikes.
And I was on this election committee, so I wasn't allowed to tell people not to vote for him. And then he got elected, and everyone was like, he said all these things. And I was like, yeah, I could have told you that. Yeah.
Yikes.
Hope he doesn't listen to the podcast.
What was that?
My notebook fell.
Have you ever had an enemy?
No, but I think Hannah probably thought she was my enemy when I first met her.
Oh my God, this is perfect. Okay, so speaking of enemies, so I've never had one. I know, and I think we actually have some of the same people that we know who might have been enemies during a certain program that we went to. But anyway, but so when I first met Christine, I met her with a girl who lived in the dorm next to me, and Christine lived in the other dorm building. And so like I met them together, and I thought Christine hated me. And then like I saw her at this other like shindig, and we kind of talked. And then all of a sudden I was like putting out on Facebook back when I had one, like, hey, does anyone want to go see Pentatonics? And we were Facebook friends, and she's like, yeah. And that's how we became friends. Yeah. So
Aww.
I guess we maybe we were like could be on the verge of enemy, and then became friends.
But then like turned to be best friends.
Why did you think that she hated you?
I think it was just that like
I just thought she was weird. I was like, is this person like sitting down with my friends? Like, because you were talking to Lexi and Sam, and I was like, who's this girl? Like, what?
Because you met them at like orientation?
Yeah.
And I met them because they were my neighbors. And so like I just like these were the only two people I knew. So I sat down, and like Christine knew them, and she was like kind of standoffish. And I was still like I was still a little shy, but I was like kind of out of my shell. And then we became best friends.
When I was in high school, I was foolish enough to think that I had a rival, but there was no enemies.
Oh, a rival.
A rival.
That's a very different thing from an enemy.
Yeah.
That's what I think is kind of New Direction's shtick, is not enemies. Mm-hmm. They have rivals.
Mm-hmm.
Even when like Vocal Adrenaline was being giant assholes to them, like Vocal Adrenaline saw them as enemies, but New Direction still, even though they probably used the word enemy, they probably still saw them more as rivals.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, probably the biggest enemy person, I think, was the guy from the Flash before he was the Flash.
Oh, yes, Sebastian.
Sebastian, yes.
The Flash before he was the Flash. Yeah.
That was another thing my sister was just texting me about. Yeah, we started watching The Flash, and I was like, wait, wasn't he a bully on Glee?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, so I think he was probably more enemy material than Unique.
Yeah,
Yeah.
quite literally. One committed
Assault.
an assault. The other one didn't and was a genuinely nice person. So
Yeah. So Unique is like, I'm gonna have to transfer schools, and then she goes on to perform Starships by Nicki Minaj.
it was cringe. Can I just say that?
It-
Can I be backed up on this? Thank
yeah,
you.
it was a little, because you can't swear higher
And
than
any other, it was like higher than any other. It was like, oh, it was like
They
biting
couldn't
into
come
a
up
lemon.
Like, they couldn't even come up with something that had the correct amount of syllables. Come on!
It just makes me think one of the best Miranda Sings videos is where she sings Starships on a beach, and she's like, higher than a mother, bleep. And she's just like running around on the beach. It's like the best Miranda Sings video, but that's what it makes me think of whenever they said higher than any other.
I was not into this. Like it was fun in general to watch. I was not having, like, I kept laughing because I was like, this sounds ridiculous. And then I was like, oh gosh, yeah. No one can do Nicki Minaj on this show properly. You just can't.
Guess which character is going to sing Nicki Minaj later on?
Kurt.
No.
Mm.
Do you want me to tell you, or do you want it to be a surprise?
Spoilers, Cullen!
Alyssa, what's your guess?
I don't even know who's going to be here next season.
Pick anyone. Because you never know who will or will not be. So. Is it going to be Will?
Puck.
No. Do you want me to tell you?
No. Spoilers, Cullen.
I'll
text me later.
I'll text Hannah right now.
And Christine probably kind of remembers.
No, but I could see Blaine singing Nicki Minaj.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah, that's true.
And he still will be there, so.
Yeah, the only reason I picked Puck is because I couldn't remember who's graduating.
No, I know this. I know this because I've seen visuals. You're right. Oh God. Well, hopefully I forget it and I can be appalled when I see it in person.
So
Alyssa, you're gonna lose your mind. Anyway, back to vocal adrenaline.
And then they sing Pinball Wizard.
Awesome. So cool.
Yeah,
They
that was
had
really great.
pinball machines. And Unique is just an amazing performer.
I mean,
she is. She didn't do much in the other song, the Starships. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The other dancers were freaking phenomenal in Starships.
Yeah, she did a lot of like flipping and like flipping like kind of like spins and like flipping her hair.
Yeah, like walking around.
Yeah.
There was like full on like tumbling and
there was
diving.
Splits.
Yeah.
There was a split in the air and I gasped.
So did I. I forgot about that.
This performance was really amazing. But I don't know. It felt a little overkill, but it's vocal adrenaline. So I was like, ooh.
Well,
it was really cool.
The pinball, what is it called?
Pinball machine?
Pinball Machine. That's the name of the song, Pinball Machine.
Oh, the song Pinball Wizard.
Pinball Wizard.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
pinball
I know
machine.
what a pinball machine is. Pinball Wizard had the pinball machine props. And it reminded me of last episode and how they were like, we don't want the props to be the main part of the performance.
Did they use props in their number, New Directions?
No, they didn't.
Weren't they supposed to, or
No,
was that
Will
something they were
rejected that.
trying?
It
Oh,
yeah,
got it.
he rejected it, but it made me think back and be like, are they trying to say that vocal adrenaline might not win because they're using pinball machines? Because
It does
was
seem
great.
like over.
I
seems like
don't think
it seems like overkill and maybe possibly distraction, but I would argue that like the performance itself is still good enough. So
yeah, good enough, like good, like really good, like
yeah.
really,
So
really
like
good.
even on its own, I still think that like if they had choreography that was still lively like that without the pinball machines, I still think it would have been really great. Because Unique is just so great.
So then we get a scene with the judges.
Which we haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah. Perez Hilton is like blogging about Lindsay Lohan, like, why are you here? Like, I heard show choir, and she's like, what's his name? Martin
Vaughn.
Vaughn is like, 16 Teen Choice Award nominee Lindsay Lohan need not be asked why she's here if you don't know the definition of a celebrity judge.
This was probably the most fun scene for me to watch. Like I laughed through the whole thing. It was so great because like Perez is there, like Martin Vaughn walks in, he's like, okay, like who are we gonna pick? We gotta talk about this. And like Perez is on his iPad, Lindsay's on hers, and she's like, did you seriously just like post about me while we were out there? And then like he's literally blogging the whole time while they're having this meeting, and so he like updates the meme he makes. It's chef's kiss. It's like so funny.
It seems so exhausting to me. I know people like do that, like are on social media all the time. It just seems exhausting.
It's kind of also like Perez making fun of himself, and also the show making fun of Perez and people like him because like they're vultures. So
I just kept thinking of the Vine where the person's like, I'm here with Perez Hilton, you're an asshole, or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah, and so Lindsay is like, yeah, I support these kids. And Perez is like, Unique is like a star. It's like Tina and Ike Turner in one. And they think of how much it would mean to all these kids if they saw Unique winning on television.
Which was something that Unique kind of talked about when they were talking with Kurt Mercedes, that like there's all this pressure to be an icon for people like Unique or people who have these kind of challenges. And it's a lot.
Yeah, especially for a teenager.
Yeah.
And someone who's probably a sophomore, freshman? Like I think Wade is supposed to be really young, right?
Yeah.
Sophomore, I think.
And the Martin is like, it's not televised. And Lindsay Lohan is like, what? I'm in the middle of a full image rehab here. I need to fire my manager. And then Perez updates his meme.
He's like, firing manager.
And then Lindsay Lohan is like, I like New Directions. They seemed like underdogs. They seem to have like they really liked each other and support each other, and I like their energy. And Perez is like, oh, I hated New Directions. I like Vocal Adrenaline. And then Martin is kind of like torn.
Yeah.
And that's what
they also did mention. Wait, didn't Perez say that he liked
the Portland,
the ones who did
Oregon
Starlight Express
Yes.
on roller skates? And then like they gave us like a tiny tidbit of that, and I was like, I would die during that number. That sucks. Like I had to give them the skill of roller skating on the stage, very dangerous. But I just I couldn't do it.
When they brought Little Mermaid to Broadway, they had the fish and the mer people roller skate.
That seems very dangerous to me because, well, I guess it's pretty similar to being on like a rink, but like you have a lot of choreo, and then it's like an open stage. Like if you get too close to the edge, you fall off right into the orchestra.
Yeah, someone did get injured. But it wasn't from roller skating.
Oh,
It
well,
was
that defeats the purpose. From what?
it was from like something in the set that fell beneath them.
Ooh, yikes.
Well, Carmen Thibodeau, played by Whoopi Goldberg, is leaving. Jesse St. James approaches her and is like, "Hey, Carmen Thibodeau, I auditioned for you," and she's like, "I get a lot of auditions," and he's like, "I'm not here for me. I'm here to tell you Rachel Berry is the most talented person ever, and she'll be great in your class." And then Carmen's like, "Oh, I remember you saying giants from the sky. Your breath work was off, and it wasn't crisp enough, but I admired your passion and like you have something."
Mm-hmm.
This was my favorite scene with Jesse.
Yeah, it was like there's a lot of interesting depth that they're giving to this Carmen Thibodeau person,
Played by Whoopi Goldberg.
played by Whoopi Goldberg.
Thank you.
And but then they're also giving depth to Jesse, but these are two characters like I don't know if they're ever going to come back. Like I don't know. So but then it also kind of leads into this, and same thing with like Carbon showing up and like Rachel being able to see her and use that to give her oomph. It's Rachel getting what she wants still. Like it's people helping Rachel because she's Rachel. Like she's not always very nice to people at all. I don't know. It's just still like really like character serving for Rachel. It's a bit annoying, but it was a really well written scene. And I love that Carmen like she like kind of like pushed him off, and then she listened to him, and then she's like, "No, I know who you are." And like that kind of took me back. I was like, she remembered him.
I liked this scene with Jesse because of the performance that Jonathan Groff gave.
Yes.
And it was really good. Like when he comes up and says, "Yeah, I auditioned for you," and she kind of brushes him off and like, "Yeah, I see like 100 people a day." Like you can tell, like that hurt. That really hurt. You could see it in his face. I think he sort of like exhaled a little bit, and I was like, "Oh, you're fine." And then he continued and talked about Rachel, and that's when you knew that, I think that was the moment that I knew he had really grown as a character, was because he was able to move past that blow to his pride and continue on to Rachel. So even though it was for Rachel, that scene was for Rachel, I really thought that it was kind of like an homage to Jesse and whatever off-camera growth that he did.
Yeah, he's putting in the work. Good for him.
Yeah, it was really great. I really liked that scene.
This episode definitely does sometimes serve as a series finale for a show with a better Rachel and a better Will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if they were consistently better people.
If Rachel learned the lessons that she was given and actually learned them and grew.
And applied them to every single episode.
Yeah. So Unique gets the MVP award.
I legit thought that was something that Rachel made up. Remember when?
Oh, interesting.
Like, the MVP award, and I was like, "What, did you just like make up an award?"
That's funny. I mean, like
I
think
was
like
not expecting it to be a real thing.
It's very presumptuous in general, but the fact that like if it was a fake award, that would have been hilarious. Like, I'm gonna win MVP, and then Carmen Thibodeau shows up. She's like, "Where's your MVP?" Like, it's right here. And then she like writes it in marker and gives it to her. And it's like, this is a bill for Dollar General. Like, this is an MVP award.
And then they announced the winners of the 2012 Show Choir National Championship. And
third place winner
first. First the Scale Blazers.
Which is not how you do it. But anyway.
And then
they were called the Scale Blazers?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
And then the New Directions win nationals.
Whoop, whoop. I actually was very happy for them. Like,
They've worked really hard to get here.
Yeah.
but then they kept focusing on Will, like shaking that trophy, and I was like, give it to the children, you asshole.
Yeah.
But I was genuinely very happy for them.
Okay, question though, because they set up nationals in a completely different way last season, which is that you have to first beat out like 20 different groups.
So why didn't we
see that?
Why didn't we see that scene where they realized, like, oh my God,
we're
in the top 3?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Because you have to infer that basically from, like, they're like, oh, and now we have our top 3. Like, it's very brushed off, but like that's a big thing. Like, we should have seen that.
Especially because they set a precedent.
And not only that, but like we saw how crushed they were to get to see them get past that. Like, the anticipation for the watchers will also be like, oh my God, like they're really close.
That should have been, they should have done Nationals Part 1 and Nationals Part 2. And Part 1 would have been the first competition. And then they find out they're in the top 3. And then Part 2 would be this competition. That would also give you a chance to like really raise the stakes. Like,
there's no
really
separate competition. It's the same competition, right? It's just they just pick the top 3 from everyone who does their performances. They don't do another number to get in the top.
Wait, no.
Yeah.
Is they do the top 3?
I get it. It's a little confusing. I wasn't sure if they had to do a second performance either.
Okay. I think it would be really interesting if the top 3 had to perform a second time.
I feel like that's probably how it is in real life. But
then you have to have a whole set of songs prepared.
Yeah, well, the idea would be that every single person who goes to nationals has 2 sets of songs prepared.
Yeah. Which would be a lot of pressure. But I think that instead of having that stupid, even though it was funny, Lindsay Lohan, Perez Hilton, Martin Vaughn scene, why not have them like be like freaking out, be like, holy shit, like we just did this number. And then, you know, they're having their break, you know, maybe there's like a montage of them watching other people do performances, like in Pitch Perfect, right? Where they do kind of montages of that. And then you get to like, okay, here's going to be the top 3. And then you see them, their name is on the board. Like, that would have been a way better use of their time, I think.
Yeah, probably. Especially like because
story-wise.
The last couple of like competitions, we haven't seen the judges' room.
Right. Like, it's
fun. We're not expecting it. They only did that the first competition. And then they did it
a couple other times. Because we got Tammy Jean Albertson.
Yeah. They did it a couple times, but they did it in competitions in which there's only 3 competitors. So you already know who those people are. You know that they're all going to place somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was really happy for them. They've worked so hard. It was a great moment. It was very cathartic. And then they come back to Lima, Ohio, and they open the doors with their trophy, and they come in, and there's a banner and everything, and everyone's staring at them, and hockey players come up with slushy cups. They're like, oh no, we're gonna get slushied. And then it's confetti.
And it's like slow motion again, and it's really cute. It's surprising, but I think like I wonder if like the fact that like they even won shows that like they're not losers. Like, this is school pride. Like, our students won something really big. That kind of that school pride kind of came over everyone, which is really cool to see.
They sing Tongue Tied.
A bunch of congratulations signs everywhere. And
Will the teachers congratulate him?
Rory gets kissed a lot by a couple girls.
Oh my
that
gosh.
was weird.
That was very uncomfortable. And now we're in like this montage of like you know, the winner's circle sort of thing.
Yeah.
They're like, they have fake champagne. I'm guessing it's not real champagne because.
Oh no, those teachers are drinking in the middle of the day.
And
Those were the students.
they're shooting it at each other.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
They're shooting it at each other and they're like
I
eating
was-
cake and
Like so concerned that they were drinking real champagne that I stopped the playback on like a frame where I thought I could read the label, and it said New Directions bubbly, and then it says something on the bottom and I couldn't read it, and it didn't say whether it was champagne or just like sparkling.
It's probably like sparkling grape juice, or apple juice, because they're babies still.
Yeah.
so it's this really fun, cute montage.
Well, except for the part where.
Oh, we'll get to the part. Before we spoil it with Will, it's this fun montage, and I actually listened to this song on repeat the day I graduated college and the day I graduated grad school, because it gives me this very graduation, like emotional, like celebration, saying goodbye kind of vibe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it because of this?
Yeah.
Context? Okay, interesting. Yeah, because I was like listening to the song, like I know the song, and I was like hearing it in this, I was like, does this fit? I'm like, I don't really know what the song Tongue Tied's about, so I guess like it's got the right rhythms to it and energy to it.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But Will walks into Emma's office and there's a pamphlet that says when it's time, when it's time to have intercourse.
I hated that.
And then he gets home and Emma's in a nightgown and they rip each other's clothes off and they jump into bed and he's rewarded with sex for his nationals victory.
Which
No.
I don't even want to go into the intricacies of how detrimental that is to basically Emma's self-worth. I can't. I don't have the energy. It's too late.
Or like,
for me
how
to do
about
this.
any woman or girl? that's
Any
watching
woman
the show.
Like they're like, oh, I'm supposed to reward my man with my virtue or with sex in general
Yeah.
because they did something good. I mean, it's literally like Pavlovian conditioning, which like, it depends on how your relationship is, but like, I don't know how healthy that is, quote unquote healthy. But it
Glee.
happened.
Yeah, it's like all this other sweet stuff, and then
Oh, I have the line here. My man deserves to be treated like a winner.
Mm-mm.
I think that happens after
yeah.
this, but I just saw it and I was like, oh.
And a girl asks Rachel to sign her yearbook.
That was actually pretty cute. I like that scene.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, and it would have been a great finale to Rachel's arc.
Yeah. This girl comes up and asks Rachel to sign her yearbook, and Rachel gives her an autograph. Obviously does not know who this person is, and then this person leaves like without her having time to ask her name or anything. And it's like you can see it in her face, like that was the first autograph I ever wrote. Like this is never gonna happen again. That was my first autograph. Someone wanted me to write my name on something. Like
interesting.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a good moment. I liked this montage except for the Wemma stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then Principal Figgy Fig calls Finchel into his office. He calls them Finchel.
I hate this. Why does he do that? It's so stupid. He's the worst principal ever.
And he's like,
he's so inappropriate.
He's like, prom royalty.
It's a good impression.
And he's like, I'm not in favor of teen weddings, but here's some money. And Rachel pulls it out, it's $5.
Oh my God.
That was pretty funny, actually.
Now they have $1,005 to go to Niagara Falls.
Yes.
And he's like, there's a special occasion and I would like the New Direction singing group to perform. And they're like, what's the special occasion? We'd love to. And then it cuts
He's
to,
like, it's a secret, right?
yeah, or can you keep a secret?
Yeah.
And then Will and Emma are getting ready for the Teacher of the Year awards. And that's when Emma says, my man deserves to be treated like a winner. And he's like, because he's like, thank you. And not just for last night, for all your support. And,
you know, me mentally and emotionally and verbally abusing you.
yeah. And then Sue shows up in a top hat.
Yeah. Because she's like, you know what? I've been a great teacher. I, you know, was great for my Cheerios and I led your team to victory.
And Will is like, yeah, you did. You know, you really deserve it. And she's like, I had Becky Jackson in a dummy file cabinet listening in. And so then they go into the award ceremony. There's this teacher talking about how she's retiring and they can
That's the history teacher who thought that Germany had won World War II.
Oh, yeah.
That's her. How can she be retiring when Will has her position and she was fired?
She's also the home ec teacher when Brittany thought an egg was a chicken's house.
Oh my God. There's no consistency here. Maybe she was just fired as a history teacher because she was losing it there, but like she's a woman, so she knows how to cook.
Yep.
That makes sense. That checks out.
And so she tells them to catch her hoarders in her intervention episode.
I did laugh at that though. She's like, I'm gonna be on hoarders. So it's like, yeah, of course you are. All of her Nazi memorabilia has to get cleaned out.
And she walks away and Figgins is like, go blissfully into that sweet night. Like she's dying.
He is so weird.
And then he's like, in order to present the award, I'm calling Finchel to the stand. And they give a speech and Finn is like, a lot of people teach kids important things here, like fractions and something else. And he's like, but this teacher, he teaches us how to dream, which is the most important thing. And I'm like, if I like this character, this would be really sweet.
Right. If he was actually a good teacher and did the things that Finn said he was doing. Because also, I'm just going to say it because I wrote it down and I think it's really important that we bring this back. You know, Finn says, you know, he had a really good life and then he met Mr. Shoe. And then I'm like, and then your life went fucking bananas because Mr. Shoe planted drugs in your locker to get you into the fucking Glee Club. But, you know, why would we care about that?
Actually, during his speech, like his exact words were, you know, I thought I had a great life. And then I met you, Mr. Shoe. And my brain inserted,
went to shit.
You blackmailed me.
That would have been an amazing
Oh my God,
twist.
You blackmailed me. I found out. That would have been hilarious. That's in the Gleeboot. And then instead of it being he gets the Teacher of the Year award, he gets arrested.
And the Glee Club performs, what should they perform? Bad guys.
Bad boys. Bad boys. Bad boys. Bad boys mixed with Shot the Sheriff. That's going to be their mashup that they do.
I'm dying. Oh my gosh, that's so good. And Rachel's like, I was just an annoying Jewish girl, and now I'm still annoying, and I'm still Jewish.
Why does she have to put herself down? And put herself down in front of everyone? Like, Rachel has enough confidence in front of other people, I think, to just be like, I'm a bad bitch.
You can't kill me.
You can't kill me.
And she's like, but we're like so happy for you, Will. And so they're like, before you get up there, we're gonna sing.
She said that they loved him,
I'm,
which is
I
inappropriate.
And they sing "We Are the Champions,"
which was cute. It was
Yeah.
great.
Everyone, like a lot of people get a little solo. Will gets up there and they all he goes down the line, they all hug him, and
I wrote down the line, "No one deserves this more than you," and then my response is, "Okay." Because I can think of 10 other teachers and I've never heard their names or heard them speak, and they sit in the teacher's lounge. I bet you they deserve it more than you do.
What about the guy who lost his thumbs?
Oh my
What
God.
about Henri? I think he ended up having a drug problem, probably from the pain that he was in from his thumb. So that's, unresolved opioid epidemic storyline right there. So let's bring back Henri, season 4. Let's go. Let's talk about the opioid epidemic. What's Glee's take on it?
Oh boy.
They're gonna sing "Your Love Is My Drug" by Kesha.
Yeah, they are.
And then that's how the episode ends with "We Are the Champions," and Tina presents the award to Will, and
that's that. Yeah, that happened.
And this is how Glee should have ended.
Yeah, well, with tiny modifications to the entire series.
Yeah.
Yes.
With everything else before that completely different. And that's why this podcast exists.
Yeah. So before we go into our other sections, how would you end the Gleeboot?
Like actually, like after 6 seasons, or if like we're saying this is
You had
Glee.
control of the Gleeboot.
Right.
So you could decide how many seasons it could run for, where it would end.
Shouldn't we be talking about this after we see the next 3 seasons?
No, we're going to talk about it a bit now because we were talking about how this would be a great finale.
Yeah. I think it is natural to end it when the main characters that we know we have grown attached to, when that main group graduates, I think that would make more sense as the end of the show. Like, it just does, because if these kids go off to college, are we going to watch, is it going to be like Game of Thrones where we're literally watching Quinn in Westeros and Mercedes up north? Like, is it going to be like that? I hope not. But then if it's not, then we're going to have to pick people who we care about most. So it seems too complicated and too splintered that like, this is a natural end. If we set up the pilot that, Will or this choir teacher person wants to either make a difference or, wants to be...
Wants to make a difference, and then they do make a difference in these kids' lives. They lead them to nationals. That's a great arc. If Rachel is like, I want friends, I want to be a star, and
she thinks she wants to be a star and she thinks she has to go a certain way about it, and she grows realizing like, I actually need friends.
Yeah.
Finn, I don't know what to do with Finn. Neither does the show. Yeah, it's just like, this is a natural end. And I feel like, you could probably get 4 seasons out of it if they all started as freshmen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if they had people who were like the central people, other people could be, older, and as they graduate out, that's okay. But like if our central team like, you could do 4 years. I think it would make sense.
I don't even know if you'd have to do graduation. Graduation's boring. I think ending it at nationals is fine.
With the implied graduation.
Yeah, like you don't need to watch graduation.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think I would end it at nationals.
Yeah, no, you're right. Because I'm like, what's a graduation scene that I saw that was supposed to be like, that was actually important? I'm thinking Legally Blonde. That makes sense because her whole journey was about being in law school. It makes sense to see the graduation. That's the culmination of her journey. But the culmination of the journey for these kids isn't graduation, it's winning nationals.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And yet there's 3 more seasons left.
Oh boy.
So I guess that makes it Tina
time.
Guess what? I didn't count, but I counted one line. But after it happened, I didn't count anymore. And I don't know if that's because she didn't speak it or if I just wasn't counting.
I think she only spoke once.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think she was like, you can do it, Quinn. And then
Yep.
That's it. She didn't have any like, yay, thanks, or like, no, I don't want to do this.
So now MVPs and LVPs.
Mm-hmm.
So Christine, who is your least valuable player?
Like the one I don't like the most.
Yeah.
Right.
Honestly, I don't like Will Schuester. I don't like his character, and like I think he's like the way they put him on the show is like he like fake cares for the kids, but more like cares for himself.
Yeah. He uses those children as emotional stability, and it's upsetting.
I think his acting skills suck too, but that's just my
Yeah, I mean, oh god, we can have a whole podcast on the acting in this show and how like all over the place it is. My LVP is Perez Hilton, as much as I want to pick Will, because he's blogging about Lindsay when she's literally like, please don't tell me, and he's literally such a vulture. I know that's who, his business, but like it's a character of him, and it was just, it sucked, even though it was kind of funny. But in a world where I'm not going to pick Will because I would pick him every week if I could, I'm going with Perez. Boo, he sucks in this and kind of in real life.
This is a hard week.
Yeah, that was the thing, is like, I was like, who could I pick other than Will?
I think this is going to shock everyone.
I'm ready.
My LVP for this week, for this episode only, is Sam.
No, valid.
Because he was mad at Puck for studying geography.
Trying to graduate.
Yes, yeah. He was mad at
valid.
Puck for trying to graduate by studying for his geography.
Were fighting.
Yes. It's like, Sam, no. Why?
He was just really, really stressed, Alyssa. It's okay.
No excuse.
No excuses. You always have to be perfect, Sam.
The Glee breakup of the century. I'm going with Emma.
Okay.
For the line, my man deserves to be treated like a winner.
Yeah.
For not valuing herself and realizing she's worth way more than Will Schuester. And worth way more than a Nationals trophy. She's a human being.
Right? Yeah.
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 Love yourself. Except it's like the vine. Love yourself. Accept yourself.
Lots of Vine references today.
Yes. So now MVPs. Christine, who is your most valuable player?
Let's see. I probably liked Mercedes just because she was supposed to be like doing all the solos and stuff, but then she got sick. But then when she came back, she still was like, no, you guys are still gonna take over. Like, she didn't come back and like, I'm gonna be a star again. I guess.
Yeah.
I kind of liked her attitude.
Yeah,
when
no,
she
that's
came
actually
back from being sick.
That's really good. I actually picked her just because I'm like, she practically came back from the dead. But yeah, no, like that's a good point. Like she, like it wasn't just like Quinn and Tina were out, even though like maybe I think Quinn said she was like, oh, I don't know if I could do that number. And Mercedes is like, yeah, you can, and you better, or I'm gonna whoop your ass. So yeah, like she was like, no, like you are part of this team. Yeah, no, I'm gonna second that.
So I'm going to go with Jesse because even though he's not like a main part of this episode at all, I felt emotionally attached to his scenes.
Mm-hmm.
He really outdid himself in the acting wise. So I guess that's more Jonathan Groff. But I'm gonna go with Jesse for my most valuable player. And also, I just had this thought, can we bring Jonathan Groff in as not Will Schuester, but like Jesse older?
Still
you know what I'm saying?
Still
like,
doing vocal adrenaline?
Or not, maybe vocal adrenaline. That would actually be really cool if instead of doing a full-on Gleeboot, we did kind of a spin-off with Jonathan Groff in the place of Will Schuester with vocal adrenaline, and then just did everything way better than Glee.
Interesting.
With vocal adrenaline instead of
I feel a pitch to Ryan Murphy coming on.
I got
Here
this.
we go. Spin-off. Jonathan Groff, still hot. Let's put him in the show.
I love it.
Oh my God.
I know, he's gorgeous.
I'm really, 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 really hot.
I mean, you're also wearing a sweater.
I need to take it off. Okay.
My
Alyssa is blowing on her hands.
When I get really, really hot, my hands feel like they're on fire and I have to blow on them.
Oh, I thought you were gonna be like they're super sweaty, which is what happens to my hands.
No, my hands literally.
Well, if they're on fire, don't put more or carbon dioxide into it because it's just gonna make the fire bigger.
They're not on fire. I'm not a
pyromancer.
Pyrotechnesis. No,
That's the power. What are they called though? What are they called?
Someone who has fire magic?
Fire powers, yeah.
A pyromancer.
No, that's more like a wizard. We're talking like superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
Like telekinesis.
A pyrotechnic?
Maybe pyrotechnic?
No, because that's a person who makes
fireworks. Listeners, help us out. Fact check us. What is the superhero that has fire powers called? Pyro what?
Pyrokinetic.
But but that's the adjective. We're talking about the noun. What if the noun is just a superhero that has fire powers? Anyway.
Well, my MVP is Finchel.
What?
The unit.
I couldn't pick which one I liked more.
Waste unit.
I thought this was if you just looked at this episode and the way they acted in this episode,
Yes, they're super cute.
super cute. And this was a great arc for them, learning a lot, performing a lot, being great leaders. And like, yeah, it was just, you could really root for them in this episode, which is, you're supposed to be able to root for them all the time, but you could really root for them this episode.
Yeah.
And that's what I liked. Because at the end of the day, I want to like Finchel. I'm one of those people that like, when I watch a show, I want to like and root for whatever the show wants me to like and root for, but sometimes they just make it hard for me. And I'm like, I'm trying. I'm an easy audience. Why can't you do this?
What if Glee is actually just an experiment in testing audiences who are easy and who want to actually root for their protagonists, but they want to constantly challenge that? What if this is all just like a meta experiment from Ryan Murphy and Brad Falchuk?
And Ian Brennan.
Theory.
Yeah. So now let's talk about the songs.
I'm an outlier. Sorry. I was back on the other.
What were we talking about? That you're just like, you're an outlier?
In this experiment.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I would have definitely rage quit by now, but I'm doing a podcast, so I have to watch it.
What if every like subtitle or whatever it would be called on every episode title for the podcast was Allyssa Rage Quits Part 59?
So the songs are Edge of Glory, It's All Coming Back to Me Now, Paradise by the Dashboard Lights, Starships, Pinball Wizard, Tongue Tied, and We Are the Champions. So Christine.
Wait, what is Tongue Tied again?
The one when they're the montage song.
Oh, yeah,
Take
yeah,
me
yeah.
to
And
your best
Slushy
friend's
Confetti.
house. Yeah.
Go around this roundabout. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good song.
So Christine, what was your least favorite song?
Probably Edge of Glory, just because I'm not a Gaga fan. It's not.
And then the number was very it was okay. Like it wasn't the Adele mashup that Treble Tones did so long ago. So
It was like not a showstopper.
no. My least favorite song is going to be Starships. You know what? I know that the song was popular, very popular. But that chorus just doesn't work as it is in this cover. I'm sorry. It doesn't.
I'm even trying to think of something with the correct number of syllables.
Mother Trucker.
Well, I don't think that would be acceptable either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Think about this too hard. It's already done and gone. We don't have to relive that. I'm also gonna go with Starship. Yeah.
Alyssa, is there writing on your wall?
Here?
Yeah.
No, that's from my chair scraping up against it.
Got it. I thought you had like written the music list on there, and I was like, is she reading it from her wall?
No, I just keep putting my hands on the wall because they're hot and I'm trying to get the heat out of them.
Yeah.
And my wall is somewhat cooler. The desk
Watch
is
out, Cullen.
cold,
Her
the glass is cold.
pyrotechnesis or whatever it's called. Gonna burn the house down.
Good Lord.
My least favorite was Starships too, the higher than any other.
Yeah.
Cringe,
Yeah.
as the kids say.
But overall, there was no like bombs this episode.
That's
like,
true.
Yeah.
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 It was at least watchable stuff.
Yeah.
And I want to make it clear that the performance of Starships was like the dancers were great.
Yeah.
So they did a great job.
She itching.
Yeah.
She itchy.
She do the scritchy.
Scritch. I don't think she likes Starships either.
she didn't. Not a Nikki fan. So favorite songs. Christine, what was your favorite song?
I liked Pinball Wizard. I thought that was fun. What's a good song you can like sing along to?
Yeah.
Yeah, that and
Really
I
good
think
one.
the use of props was really cool. And I think the choreography was made better with the props. Yeah, it was fun. I loved singing along to it. And Unique's voice is amazing. Some of those high notes are just chef's kiss.
Is that what you're going with too?
Yeah.
I am also going with Pinball Wizard.
He's a pinball wizard.
I've never heard that song before. It was great.
Yeah.
I loved it. And the performance was really, really good. The props were fun to watch. It was all around a really great performance. And I think probably like the I still wish that we got to see all of the songs that everyone did, but we only got to see 2 songs from Vocal Adrenaline. New Directions got 3 songs, and the other group didn't get any in this episode. But I kind of wanted to see what the other Vocal Adrenaline song was going to be, just so we would be able to better compare New Directions and Vocal Adrenaline, because I think Pinball Wizard was like really amazing.
Like, where do you go from there?
Yeah, exactly. And like
are you going to be
fair?
doing like flips and shit in the air as their aerobics?
Well, not only that, but like I loved Pinball Wizard, and is it fair for me to love it so much to say that I think that they should have won the competition? I don't know, because I don't know what their 3rd song was, and I don't know if it would have stood up to the 3rd song of New Directions, and I'm thinking way too much into this because I supposedly rage quit. So
Rage quit part 59.
Pinball Wizard's my take.
Mine is Tongue Tied.
Okay.
I love that cover. It has a lot of emotional weight for me. I love that whole scene. It's just such a satisfying, like victorious feeling, and I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, that brings us to the end of our episode. Christine, are there any social medias you'd like to plug?
No, because I don't really know what that means. But
Do you want to plug your Instagram or your Twitter?
I can, sure. I can do I don't have Twitter.
What's your Instagram handle?
Oh gosh. I don't remember. Oh wait, it's my first name. Yeah, so it's my first name dot my last name 93.
You can follow Gleeboot on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We are at Gleeboot Pod. You can also find us on Tumblr, gleebootpod.tumblr.com.
You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at YABOIRyan99, and you can follow me on YouTube at YABOIRyan.
And you can follow me on Instagram at a.m.swearingen. And the only reason that I remember my Instagram is because I have to say it every week on this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, if someone asked me like what my personal one is, I would be like, I have to look it up because I don't say it every week. Cool. Yay.
Yay. Christine, thank you so much for coming on.
No problem. It was fun. Thanks.
Yay.
I'm gonna go to
Yay,
bed now.
Glee. Yeah, now you can go to sleep. Dream of Jonathan Groff being erotic.
Gosh.
Well, tune in next week, guys, for the graduation episode. Talk to you then.
Bye.
Bye.